For this video session, we will be teaching you the rules of the game Across 5 Aprils, the Pea Ridge version, and this is the game board.
Alright, in Across 5 Aprils, there are three different types of units. There are the infantry, the cavalry, and the artillery. On each unit, there are three different numbers. The first number indicates attack strength, the second number, the defense strength, and the third number, the movement allowance.
In order to determine victories, at the end of game turn 9, if the Confederate player has 2 objective hexes, which are these 3 hexes on the board, then he wins. If the Union player has all 3 at the end of game turn 9, he wins. If neither player has achieved these victory goals, then they proceed to day 2. At the end of day 2, the Confederate player only needs to control 1 objective hex in order to win the game, whereas the Union still must control 3.
Alright, at the start of the game, the only 2 units on the board are the 24th Missouri, which starts at hex 3205, and Dodge, who starts at hex 4312. The place and time that units come into the game are indicated in the upper right corner of their unit square. Little, for example, starts in 1B. So on the first turn, they will come in at hex B, and they can choose either one.
In order to determine the order of a turn, these pieces are drawn individually from a bowl or a cup. When a piece is drawn with the name of its division on it, that division gets to make its movement on the board, or if they have reinforcements coming in, they can enter the game. If a combat phase is drawn, that means that either Confederate or Union get to make their attack. The first piece that we drew was McCullough's division, so all the pieces that are the corresponding color under McCullough's division go in. So it's all these pieces. They enter, it says 1A in the upper right hand corner, so they will enter on turn 1, which is right now, and hex A.
On turn 1, when I move McCullough's division into play, they'll enter at hex A. My infantry all have a unit, or have a movement ability of 4. When moving along roads, they're allowed to go twice the distance of their movement because roads only count for half a movement. So with my infantry here, I can move 8 spaces along the road. I will be moving towards the objective at Leetown, and then I can also move with the rest of my infantry the same number of spaces. You can stack up to 2 units on a hex, but no more than 2. This is helpful when you're combining attack or defense strengths. I'll move my other infantry directly behind them, and then my artillery only has a movement of 3, and so they can move 6 spaces along a road. So I'll move them here, and that will end the movement of McCullough's division.
Alright, so the next piece that was drawn was the independent unit. So I'm going to be having Bussy come in. He comes in on turn 1 at hex D, which is right here. He can move 6 spaces, 6 movement points, so on a road that would be 12. So I'm going to have him go this way, up here, past Leetown, and I'm going to go up here, my full amount of movement points, and stop here. I'm going to go here in order to maybe try to block the Confederates from where they're going.
Alright, the next piece that was drawn was Carr's division. The only piece that will be moved on this is Dodge. I will move him along the road towards Elkhorn Tavern, a victory objective, in order to defend that. So he will be able to move 8 spaces along a road.
The next piece that was drawn was the Union combat phase. So any piece on the board that is touching an enemy's or in an enemy's zone of control, which is all the hexes surrounding your piece, must be either engaged in fight or perform an automatic retreat. Since my attack odds against the Confederate defense are not very good odds, I'm going to perform an automatic retreat in this scenario. In this case, it also allows for the Confederate player to move one piece forward into the hex that I just vacated. So, Hey Bear will advance into the piece that I left.
The next piece that was drawn was the Missouri State Guard under Price. They will enter turn 1 and in one of the B hexes. When you enter an enemy zone of control, you must stop. So I will move Price's artillery into this space and stack my 2 artillery pieces, but they must stop because they've entered the 24th Missouri zone of control. With my other units, I will move along this road and try to get to the victory objective. I will move little 4 spaces along a road, which counts as 2, and then I will move into the woods, which also counts as 2. I will stack Little and Price on that hex, and Slack I will move to the hex behind them.
Alright, so the next piece to be drawn was Osterhaus's 1st Division. So the corresponding pieces that go with Osterhaus is Osterhaus and Grusel. They enter at turn 1 hex D. This guy can move 4 movement points, so that's 8 along a road. So I'm going to go here, and I will stop there. This guy can go 3 movement points, and I will go right there.
The next piece to be drawn was the Confederate combat phase marker. Here, Hey Bear and Bussy are touching each other, so they must engage. Or I could perform an automatic retreat, but because I have a 3-to-1 advantage, I will fight. My attack is 6, Bussy's defense is 2. The dice rolls were both 4. I rolled a 4, and the defense rolled a 4. My morale rating, which is indicated on the right side of my piece, is -1. Thus, my die roll becomes a 3. Bussy's morale is 0, which means that his die roll remains 4. On the combat results table, the attacker's 3-to-1 odds with a roll of now 3 will be a 1R, which means Bussy will lose 1 step and must retreat. So, Bussy will lose a step, which means his piece is flipped, his attack and defense are reduced, and he must retreat away from enemy units. Hey Bear will also lose 1 step, as indicated on the defense combat results under 3-to-1 odds, but does not have to retreat.